Hi, this is Jenny Brav, and today I wanted to first talk about and then tap on nervous system activation, which is also often commonly referred to as fight, flight, freeze, and the recently added Fawn. And one of the main triggers for this activation, very broadly, generally speaking, I mean, there are lots of specific individual triggers, especially for anybody who has gone through any kind of trauma, is change and uncertainty. That can be internal and or external, individual and or collective. And at the time of this recording, we're in an accelerated state of global change and uncertainty, which can really cause this sense of collective limbic hijack or amygdala hijack, as that nervous system activation can also be referred to. And then, in addition to that, many of us who are on a personal growth or spiritual path are also experiencing big energetic shifts that can really kick up our patterns that are coming up for healing and feel very destabilizing. And so I'm going to talk about some of the emotions that can be associated with each state. And then we're going to do some tapping. And I invite you to like, subscribe, turn on notifications if this feels helpful to you. It definitely helps with the algorithms and reaching more people. And also, we're going to be tapping kind of on all of the states, because in my experience, while some of us might have a default towards fight or a default towards flight or freeze or fawn, most of us cycle in and out of them, especially in like big activations. But if you want to see me do a separate video deep diving in any one of these, let me know in the comments. And even though it's not a separate state, one of the indicators that your nervous system is activated or in hyperarousal that can be a through thread in each of these is that of hypervigilance, feeling like you're on high alert, scanning externally to determine if you're safe. So that can be reading the news excessively, doom scrolling, or just wanting to be as informed as possible. Conversely, sometimes the hypervigilance can get like so much and so overwhelming that we might go into checking out or distracting, which is a pendulum swing. So that can be another indicator, along with some of the emotions I'm going to describe. So in terms of the fight state, as you might imagine, if you're feeling anger, resentment, blame, judgment, defensiveness, frustration, irritation, those can all be indicators that you're in the fight stage of nervous system arousal. And that, along with the hypervigilance, can also really impact sleep, ability to feel settled in terms of the body. It can be linked to the heart rate increasing, to hypertension. And then in terms of the flight stage, fear, anxiety, panic, restlessness are often indicators that you're in flight. Also, if you're looking for an escape route, if you're reactively wanting out of a situation, like let's say you're unhappy with a job, but you're like just thinking, I'm going to quit the job or leave my partner or leave the country, which might be very legitimate decisions to make. And those kinds of decisions are always better to make from a grounded state, accessing our higher selves. So those can be indicators. Then the third one, freeze. The most commonly associated emotions are confusion, dread, helplessness, overwhelm, disconnect, then depression and numbness, checking out, dissociation can also be indicators of a freeze state. And finally, with Fawn, guilt, shame, fear, lack of confidence, self-abandonment, self-blame can all be indicators that you're in a Fawn state. And if you want to pause the video and kind of feel more deeply into what's coming up for you, where you feel it in your body, any beliefs that are associated with whatever state is predominant for you right now, feel free to. Otherwise, we're going to jump right into tapping. I invite you to take a deep breath in. And you can close your eyes if that is helpful. Keep them open. You can follow along with me with the points. I will be calling them out, or you can do your own. And you can repeat the words out loud or in your head, and feel free to modify them at any point to match your situation. Tapping on the side of your hand, taking a nice deep breath in. And repeat after me. Even though my nervous system is really activated, and in a state of hyperarousal or hypoarousal, and it's probable I'm in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and maybe even a combination. I am open to loving and accepting myself, even with all of this. And I'm open to the possibility that I can settle and reset my nervous system, regardless of any big transformation or change or any other situation that's happening, internally or externally. Good, deep breath. Wow. Breath is really good for settling the nervous system. So I'll be inviting you to do that throughout the tapping all over your head. Another deep breath. High nervous system inside of the eyebrows. I feel you outside of the eyes. I know you're on high alert under the eyes. Or maybe shut down under and above the lips. Breathe. I acknowledge any part of me under the collarbone that's in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Middle of the sternum. I feel you. Ribs. I know you're feeling like there's a threat to your survival. Side of the body, or at the very least, you're feeling very unsettled. Wrist. And I acknowledge my danger scanner. Tapping on the other wrist. Any part of me that is in hyper arousal, hypervigilance, scanning the outside world for safety, tapping all over the head. Thank you so much for working so hard to try to make sure I'm safe inside of the eyebrows. And it's possible that scanning for safety externally outside of the eyes makes the scared parts more scared. Under the eyes, breathe. It's possible that instead of disconnecting from my inner knowing, under and above the lips, and hooking into the external for safety, under the collarbone, I can instead disconnect from the external, middle sternum, and reconnect to my inner knowing. Ribs to the still point within. Breathe. Big belly breath. Let's take 3. Side of the body. Reconnect to my breath. Wrist. High part of me that is in fight, other wrist. Thank you so much. For wanting to defend me. Tapping all over the head, protect the parts that are vulnerable and scared inside of the eyebrows. Wanting to take back power outside of the eyes from those you perceive have taken it from us. Under the eyes, breathe. I am so grateful to you. Under and above the lips. And I acknowledge the anger under the collarbone, any frustration and irritation, middle sternum, blame and judgment, ribs, defensiveness, side of your body, for wanting to protect the scared and vulnerable ones. Other wrist. And it's possible that when we attach these to an external story, other wrist, or situation, we are actually abandoning the parts that feel scared and vulnerable all over the head and are wanting reassurance. Inside of the eyebrows, it is possible we can attend to those parts first. Outside of the eyes, breathe. And then take any action needed under the eyes from a more grounded, empowered place. Under and above the lips. High flight response. Under the collarbone. I see you, middle sternum. I feel you. Ribs. High restlessness. Side of the body, high legs. Rest. Hi, any part of me that feels coiled to flee. Other wrist. Thank you so much. For being ready to leave. Tapping all over the head, for looking for an escape. Inside of the eyebrows, looking for an out. Outside of the eyes. maybe even an out from this body and these emotions under the eyes. I'm grateful for the ways you are trying to keep me safe under and above the lips. And it's possible that if we tap back in under the collarbone, connect our heart, body, intuitive wisdom, middle of the sternum, connect to the earth. Ribs are energetic roots. If and when we decide to leave, side of the body, whether it's letting go of an old pattern, rest of a friendship, relationship, job, place, the rest. We will do so from a more grounded place. Tapping all over the head, which will influence all of our future steps. Breathe. Inside of the eyebrows. Part of me that might be in a freeze response outside of the eyes. It might be hard to feel you under the eyes. You might be hiding under and above the lips. Numb under the collarbone. Feel very distant. Middle of the sternum. I might be in my head and dissociated from you. Ribs. And I know you're here. Side of the body. High depression. Rest. Confusion of the wrist. Dread. Head. Overwhelm. Inside of the eyebrows, part of me that might be checking out. Outside of the eyes, breathe. Does not want to be seen under the eyes. I know you're scared under and above the lips. And I acknowledge any coping strategy under the collarbone, childhood, ancestral, or karmic, middle of sternum, where we might have learned that hiding is the only way to stay safe. Ribs that we needed to fly under the radar, that standing out was absolutely not safe. Side of the body. Rest. Breathe. And it's possible that it's safe now. Other wrist. That going into freeze state. Head only makes us feel more scared. Inside of the eyebrows. Re-triggers the traumatized parts outside of the eyes. Breathe. It's possible that the best way to stay safe now is to be present under the eyes. To ground down under and above the lips. Connect to the earth. Under the collarbone, connect to our wise self or higher self or guidance. Sternum. Connect to presence. Ribs, breathe. And I acknowledge any part of me that might have learned to people please. Side of the body, internalize guilt, shame, go into self-blame, other wrist. That self-abandons to avoid external abandonment. Other wrist, to give power to others, to avoid punishment or rejection. Thank you so much for your help. Tapping over the head. And it's possible that the best way for us to feel safe is to call our power back. To step back into flow under the eyes. Good, breathe. Under and above the lips. Hi, all parts of me that are here to support me. Under the collarbone, the high nervous system. Middle of the sternum. I know you're just trying to do your job. ribs. Tie any old baggage side of the body from childhood, ancestral, karmic risks that might have gotten kicked up by whatever is going on internally or externally, or the risk in my life or in the world. Tapping all over the head. Any part of this that is hardwired into my DNA and nervous system, inside of the eyebrows. Whatever coping strategies that were developed outside of the eyes to respond to those very specific situations back then. Under the eyes, and beliefs developed to make sense of things under and above the lips served a purpose. Breathe. Under the collarbone, but at this point, middle sternum, they merely serve to re-traumatize us unnecessarily. Ribs, or keep us stuck or trapped. Side of the body, or cycling through anger, and reactivity, and freeze or collapse, overwhelm. Inside of the wrist, it's possible we have so many resources now of the wrist to respond in a way that is more grounded, more connected, tapping all over the head, more empowering, inside of the eyebrows, more aligned. Taking a deep breath. And let's pause in the tapping. And I invite you to gather from your body, it can be in your mind or physically, the places where you feel the responses, the nervous system activation. It can be in the throat and voice. It can be in the head and your thoughts, the neck and shoulders and arms are often associated with fight response. The legs with light, the belly and the heart with freeze. The low back with fawning. You can feel for you, or you can just gather it from the whole body. And let's hold out in front of us these nervous system responses, any old wounds that got triggered on any level from any realm, especially around survival, any unprocessed emotions, old beliefs, coping strategies having to do with fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, hypervigilance. And let's nod to all of that. And we can either just set it down for now, maybe even inviting in a loving energy or guides to be with that, or we can release it to light and sound, vibration, to the elements for recycling, releasing any cords, tying you to that. And then if it feels comfortable, maybe closing your eyes for a moment and inviting in a beautiful, soothing energy from the celestial realms. It might be sun energy, moon, star energy, sky, particular planet, planets. Just bring that energy into your crown, lighting up your higher knowing, your inner knowing, inner sight, feeling that permeating the neural pathways that are in the danger scanner mode, scarcity, hypervigilance, replacing them with this sense of spaciousness, of connection to a higher perspective that allows us to rise above the current moment, feeling that permeating any muscles that are tight, clenched, numb, jittery. Spreading through the bloodstream into the nervous system, soothing the hyperaroused nerve endings, calling us back into the parasympathetic, into a state of trust, of openness. And as it does, sensing, feeling, imagining that you're pulling in nice, grounded, nourishing earth energy up through your feet, feeling it rising up into your ankles and calves, knees and thighs, into the pelvic bowl, your lower abdomen. Connecting you to that sense of belonging, of safety, of being held and cocooned. And feeling the earth energy and the celestial energy is mingling and reconnecting to you, your life force energy. To your inner knowing, guidance, and deep wisdom. Tapping into the possibility that this moment might even be happening for you rather than to you. And gathering whatever you're feeling in this moment, bringing it into your heart, maybe putting your hands on your heart, filling all four chambers of your heart with this feeling of spaciousness and trust, groundedness, support, being held safe. And that your safety in this moment does not depend on anything external. And when you're ready, slowly opening your eyes, sending this healing energy up and down your timeline, up and down the lifetimes, the lineage and generations, and tapping all over your body to seal the healing, shaking it out, touching something and grounding. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I hope this helped you and your nervous system. And I will see you next time.